Welcome to Book Banter with me, your host, Dianne Burckhardt. I hope you will join me every Wednesday as we explore all things to do with, well, books. Let's get on with our show today. Hello, my happy people. Today is October 1st, 2025, and you know what that means. It is the beginning of the Halloween season. This is my favorite time of the year. The nice, cool fall weather, the leaves changing colors, great scary movies on TV, and a whole stack of hauntingly good reads to keep you entertained and give you a few chills before Halloween sets in. Now, we have got some fantastic authors for you to choose from this Halloween season, and I'm sure you're going to love all of them. And today we start everything off with a middle grade author with a lovely supernatural tale, and we're going to get right to that interview in just a moment. But don't forget to stick around to the very end because I do have some lovely announcements for you. But for right now, please welcome to Book Banter with Dianne Burckhardt, Carol Williams. I always start out by having my guests tell everyone who you are and what you do.
My name's Carol Williams, and I am a writer by profession from the standpoint of I've been a copywriter, medical content writer for many, many years. And so that's my day job. And I've always enjoyed writing, but then I decided to get back into writing for kids when I was probably about 12, maybe 12 years ago. I took a break because I had kids, and being a full-time employee and mom was definitely time consuming. So I ended up going probably almost 10, 15 years, not really writing much of anything outside of work. And now I decided I was going to get back into it and loved it. And one thing led to another. And I finally got an agent after many years of trying. And then I got a book contract a couple of years later. So it's been quite the journey, but I've enjoyed it.
Now, I know that you came from a really good, strong background of marketing communications. How do you think that has actually helped you to be a better writer?
I think one of the strong points of my writing as a copywriter was the writing to the audiences. So being conversational, trying to be empathetic, trying to think of who I was talking to and not that I was trying to sell. So I think that really helped me, particularly with dialogue and with even just the voice. I consider my character, CJ, to be totally unlike me. And I think my ability to kind of go places that I normally wouldn't, I'm in my head, that was really helpful to me. So I would say my career in terms of having to have quote unquote different voices and reaching out and being conversational have really helped me with writing kids book. And then of course I basically am 12 years old at heart, so that helps quite a bit.
I come from a long history of public relations and advertising as well. And I've always
Oh,
found that having been in that realm where you have to be able to communicate a lot of information in a few amount of words because you only have so many seconds to get your point across to grab
mhm.
somebody's attention. Do you
Yeah.
think having to be that concise also helps make you a better writer?
I do, but I would say that editing made me a better writer from the standpoint of my fiction book. Well, really, editing from the career and writing a book. But yes, I would say that it has helped me to kind of keep things a little more concise, to use 5 words instead of cut out the other 5 that I normally start out with. So I do usually have to edit myself, and then it has really helped to have other people, whether on my job or the publisher and an agent, helping me with that has really made a big difference as far as knowing how to really cut down and be concise, get to the point, and also, try to make it, a little more pithy. I'm going to try to say something funny, then working up to story doesn't necessarily help all the time.
Mhm.
50 bazillion words to get to the punchline is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. In the supernatural files of C.J. Delaney, this book blends fantasy, mystery, and paranormal and humor. I mean, there's so much in this book.
Thank you.
It's also very emotionally intelligent. How did you manage to find the right balance to keep the story moving while blending all of these elements together?
I would say it's the kind of advice that I heard a lot, and that is to read a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that really helped me try to keep the book, strike those balances. Like, where's a good place to put the red herring? Where's a good place to leave a little bit of that mystery? What do I like in these kinds of kids' books? The book actually sprang from a show I watched when I was much younger. It's on Amazon Prime, actually, but when I first saw it, I was just a kid, like maybe 12 or something like that. And it was called Kolchak.
Oh, I love that show.
Did you? Yeah. So that show name was Kolchak, but then there was another part to it. Now, of course, it slipped my mind. But
Something like Kolchak Tales of the Unknown or something like that.
yeah, yes, and because he was a reporter,
Mm-hmm.
and he was always encountering the supernatural, and nobody believed him, of course, and he would end up having to say kind of save the day, but also get his story, his scoop. So that idea really struck me as I was just thinking, and that could be kind of a fun kids book. So it combined that air of mystery because who done it?
Yeah.
There's you don't know all the time up front who it was, and then just again that kind of she had to piece all these clues together. I wanted to convey this stable family setting. I mean, I grew up in a small town just like CJ. I had a close family, and I wanted to be able to convey that as well. Particularly in some African American writing, I didn't see a lot of that when I was growing up. So
Mhm.
for me, it was kind of something I wanted to do for myself and other kids like me.
One of the things that I really loved about your book was that you actually have a lot of passive education in here where you weave in important historical facts within the story and they flow naturally in the story. So it's not
Mhm.
like you're getting hit in the face with a history lesson. Why was this important for you to add in there?
That's a really good question. Yellow Springs, where I grew up, is Galahad in the book. And I modeled a lot of the town after where I grew up. And it had a history of probably a progressive little town.
Hmm.
And I wanted to convey that. And I was able to do that through her good friend Parker, who's a photographer, and how he captured a lot of the history of Galahad and its part in the Underground Railroad. That was, there's a very brief mention of that in the book. Juneteenth, of course, that plays a more prominent role
Hmm.
in the book with Parker and his photography and the exhibit that he's going to be part of. So for me, it was important just to add another layer in there of Black history, but also the history of my little town that I loved growing up in and wanted to kind of give it a little bit of a starring role as well, make it kind of almost a character as well.
I myself write historical fiction, so I love it when I find books like this that is a great fiction story but has actual historical facts blended into it. It's a
Hmm.
fantastic way for kids to learn actual history without
Hmm.
shoving it in their face. They're just reading a wonderful story that they're enjoying, but they're still getting that information at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, that's a little side benefit that I'm glad that you picked up on, and I hope kids do as well as they're reading it. Because that like I said, that was something I wanted to share. A friend of mine was going to interview me for the Yellow Springs newspaper, which was another kind of, yeah, as you know, that was that's part of the book.
Hmm.
The grandmother owns the paper, and there's a small paper in Yellow Springs as well. And a friend of mine was going to interview me for it. It hasn't happened yet, but I really like the idea that people from Yellow Springs they probably know a lot of that, but there's always new people moving in. And so just being
Hmm.
able to present some of that history would be great, but I've managed to convey it one way or another over the last year or so.
I just think it's so important to get all of this kind of information documented and make sure that it always stays around for future generations.
True, exactly. Yeah.
Reviewers have already been praising your work. They've even referred to CJ as lovably sassy and your book as suspenseful and emotionally intelligent. How did you happen to find your balance to have these characters be so real and keep that story flowing? I mean, that's a really good tight walk to walk.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I kind of alluded to the fact that I was not like CJ when I was more like Parker, kind of the sidekick and the cautious one. And, I had my points to contribute and that kind of thing. But for me, it was fun to write this because I'm not like CJ. It was
Hmm.
fun to channel a kid who was sassy and who was brave, sometimes to the point of creating issues for herself. But she was still brave and she really loved her grandmother and wanted her to be proud of her. And so for me, I think it was just being able to also think of all the fun I had reading. Like I loved Harriet the Spy, but I loved everything from Louisa May Alcott to more contemporary books. So for me, it was just kind of thinking about the things that I've always loved as a reader and then thinking about what I would, well, again, I am a 12-year-old in an older woman's body. So I was thinking about what would I like to read right now that I haven't yet. So that is one of the reasons that I was able to kind of dive into this character and just start to really like her the more I was writing her voice. And I just really kind of took me away with her. I will say that again, I can't say enough for editing because having great editors. And I didn't mention also that even before I got my agent, I had mentors who helped me
Hmm.
with the book. And so they did a lot. They're published authors and part of this program called Pitch Wars, which unfortunately no longer exists, but
Hmm.
it was a great program for people who are new authors or wanting to be published authors, submitting their work to mentors and who were published authors who could bring their thoughts and experience and everything to editing. So that I should really definitely would be amiss if I didn't mention these two young women who really helped me. Kara Sutton and Gracie Kim were both just instrumental in helping me continue to develop CJ's voice and the plot.
That is one thing that I have just been absolutely amazed whenever I do speak to so many traditionally published authors. One of the things that they say that helped them the most was they found a mentor who had come before them who is willing to help them to learn how to do everything, how to improve their craft. Everyone from Mercedes Lackey to some of the more recent authors in every genre that I've talked to,
Mhm.
they always attribute their early success to getting established to mentors who helped them on the way.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, and I must also mention my mom. She was a huge mentor for me. She was the typical mom in that, I would read some of the stuff that I gave her that she raved about. And I was like, okay, well that's a form of mentorship to just be totally blind to any of your failings as a writer. But she also did provide some real helpful information. She was always encouraging me to enter my writing in contests and things like that. And so played a big part, not just as my mom, but as someone who was really good at inspired and kept encouraging me not to give up entirely with writing.
I do have to say that my mother's probably the only person who has read absolutely everything I've ever written.
That's how my mom was. She would read everything. And even though she passed away several years ago, but that's why I put that dedication in there to her because she did always believe that one day I would do it. And so,
And you did.
yeah, and I did.
You write for the middle grade reading level.
Yes.
That group of kids can often be quite sharp and curious
Hmm.
and can pick up on things that a lot of other people miss. What are
Yeah.
some of the challenges that you have found or the absolute joys that you have found in writing for that age group?
One of the things that appeals to me the most about that age group is they're kind of in that in between where I don't want to digress, but I'm hoping this will be a good example. So I was thinking about diving into some chapter book writing, and I sent just a couple of chapters to my agent just to see what she thought. And her first thought was, this is pretty old. In age, this is older than the age range for chapter books.
Hmm.
And the reason I bring that up is because, yes, there are kids who could kind of move into middle grade. That age, like 8, is probably the higher end, 8, 9, the higher end of chapter books.
Hmm.
But then they can also be moving into middle grade books. And what I like about writing for middle grade is, like you said, they're very sharp, but they also have, the world's just starting to kind of expand, and they're not quite as sophisticated as young adult, and they're not needing quite as much simplicity as chapter books, I found. That's a hard thing to do in and of itself. But middle grade is, for me, is just a fun age. It's full of discovery, but yet they still have a lot of imagination. They're still thinking of the possibilities of
Hmm.
things. Like this, could this really happen? Maybe, oh, this seems weird. I wonder if that's because. And so for me, just being able to write about that perspective is really fun. And they can handle a lot of more, I don't want to say mature or adult language like I'm talking about that subject. I just mean, their vocabulary is
Hmm.
very matured. It's, you can throw some words at them that maybe they will have to look them up, but they're ready to do that. So I just could go on and on because I really love the middle grade audience.
Between young adult and middle grade, I probably have interviewed more middle grade writers.
Oh,
For
great.
some reason, I love that age level. Some of the stories
Mhm.
are so fun. And it's kind of like
Mhm.
you're saying, it's like they're not simplistic, but they're not sophisticated quite yet either.
Yeah.
There's like this wonderful little hidden gem in that age group. A
Yes,
lot
that's
of
a
times
good
they're
way.
just fun to read.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. I agree. The sky's really the limit. And there's, of course, there's fantasy in every genre and every age, but I feel like, again, with middle grade, it's also that sense of possibility. Like you
Hmm.
haven't quite decided that it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have mentioned in your own bio that you are passionate about supporting literacy and helping young readers find joy in a good story. How does
Mhm.
that mission show up in your writing of this book and the career that you want to build for yourself?
My parents were both educators, and while I don't see myself as being a teacher per se or an instructor or anything, I do like the idea. I've done a couple of workshops in person, and the last one I did was with librarians and educators. And my topic was on writing horror and the supernatural for kids who are chapter book age. I learned a lot from kind of researching that for sure. Middle grade and then young adult. And just the idea that I'm able to pass on what I know to teachers, educators, and librarians who were also interested in writing, some of them. it was great because I know that then they're going to be thinking about what books to get for kids. So that's one of the ways as far as being able to reach out. I've done a few panels and things like that. So just being able to share with kids. I haven't done any school visits or anything, but there have been kids in the audiences where I've a couple of the panels I've been on, but also the adults, and just being able to share that perspective of how to communicate with certain age groups, with kids, has been a real joy for me. And my sister is a retired librarian, and so she still stays aware of what's going on in library land, as she calls it. And so just to be able to talk with her about what librarians are looking for, what they find interesting, plays a part as well, and just wanting to further the idea of kids reading.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of sad because I've been seeing more and more that, reading it's been kind of sinking a little bit. And I refuse to believe that under any circumstances, but middle grade is proving a harder sell these days just because of probably some of it's still vestiges of the pandemic.
Hmm.
But it's just the idea of trying to inspire kids to read again. What is going to get them engaged in this incredible pastime and necessity? I mean, it isn't just a pastime, it's a necessity. So I know I probably didn't answer so much the part about why I write what I write, but as far as just being able to hold kids' attention, so as you pointed out with the history in my book, so they're learning as they're engaging and they're finding it fun and they're creating worlds in their minds. And that I just feel is so important to continue to try and do. It's just get kids to see that reading is so creative as well as enjoyable for the sake of, moving through a story.
Yeah, I think that's actually very vital.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
So now is the perfect time to do our 5 quick questions that never
Okay.
turn out to be quick, but I'm just too nosy to stop asking them. Now, normally I do not have these questions have anything to do with your work, but because I was really enjoying your book, they do have something to do with your book.
Okay.
Since your book is listed as children's paranormal fantasy, have you ever had a paranormal experience?
Wow. Let me think a minute. Well, I probably will have to give you a secondhand one,
Hmm.
but it was very interesting to me to hear. Of course, I've heard knocks and bangs and stuff like that over years in strange places. But this one, my sister was telling me that she was in New Orleans and she was walking along. She was just visiting there and she was walking along a fairly crowded sidewalk. And she saw someone walking towards her as there are people walking along the same way she's going, but also coming towards her. And she saw this figure that didn't seem to be, it seemed to be moving through the people that were walking towards her and not around. She said it was like it could only be, she thought, a specter because it was not banging into people on this sidewalk, this very relatively sided, crowded sidewalk. So she said it was very ghostly and very strange and walked right by her, didn't walk through her. She kind of stepped around, but she saw it continue on its way. So that's pretty creepy and supernatural.
The minute that you said she was in New Orleans, I'm like, okay, that's good right there.
Right? Yeah.
We went to New Orleans and did a ghost tour, and oh my
Oh,
gosh, the stories that we heard about things from New Orleans, like down in the
wow.
French Quarter especially.
God, that sounds really cool. I'll have to do that next time I go to New Orleans for any length of time.
Oh,
That
it
sounds
was
really
fun.
cool.
And if
Yeah.
you like that kind of stuff, like going on ghost tours, you should go to the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado.
Oh,
That was
okay.
fabulous.
Oh, cool. I will do that.
So now, question 2. You have a lot of dogs and other animals in your book. Does that
Mhm.
mean you're a dog person?
I grew up with a dog person. I think I would like to be a dog person again. We did have a dog. My husband and I briefly had a dog, and he ended up moving in with my parents, and I think he was really glad of that. I mean, they just treated him like a little prince. So for me, I've reached an age, a time in my life where I would just love to have it. I work from home. On my day job, I work from home. And I just picture a little dog sitting over here, keeping me company. But my husband is not quite as prepared for a dog. So I am still working on that. But yeah, my mom was a dog person of dog persons. She loved them. She grew up with them. I grew up with them because she had them. So yeah, I just think there. And on Instagram, I am like the first person sending everybody all these funny dog reels.
Hmm.
So yeah, I love dogs. So it seemed natural to give CJ a dog.
I'm actually so much of a dog person that my dog has his own Facebook page.
That's great. I love it. What is it?
It's Shaggy Burckhardt, der verrückte Hund, which just means the crazy dog in German.
Oh, I love it. I love for Shaggy. That's great.
Question 3.
Mhm,
You include a lot of history in your book, like we discussed. If
mhm.
you could swap lives with one person in history for 24 hours, who would it be?
Ooh, wow. That's a really good question. Because you know what? I don't know if I can even say a name, but I would have to say it would be a well-known author who's published lots of books. So let's just say um, Cornelia Funke. She wrote Inkheart,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is a book I really, really like. She wrote Reckless
Hmm.
and Fearless. So she's written a lot of books. She's actually from Germany. She may actually still live in Germany. I'm not 100% sure, but she's a wonderful writer. And so I would love to be her and see what it's like to have published all these books for young people. I'm still getting my feet wet.
That would be very cool. To be able to step into it and have all that knowledge and be able to bring it back with
Yes,
you, that would be
yes,
fabulous.
yes, indeed.
Question 4.
Mhm.
What is your go-to comfort movie or TV show when you just want to relax?
Ah, right now, because of course it can change, but right now it's Murdoch Mysteries,
Oh,
which,
nice.
yeah, I'm on season 18. And so this has been going on for months. And it's not kind of comfortable in a way because it's all about, these weird murders
Hmm.
and things like that. But I think the comfort part is he always catches the killer.
Hmm.
And anything that gets too creepy or weird, like there were a couple of episodes where they had these horrible, like killer clowns. I could not watch the second one. The clown just looked it was so creepy looking that I couldn't hang. So for the most part, just enjoy the comfort. And then I really like a lot of HGTV shows. I just like watching House Hunters and
Oh,
just
yeah.
losing myself in what they're gonna pick and really not caring. There's nothing at stake with it, but I just enjoy their little 30-minute journey.
I'm one of those people, I do not like clowns. And
Yeah.
I just realized last night I was watching a Ghost Hunters episode on YouTube,
Oh,
and they were
uh-huh.
investigating the Poltergeist house from the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
And they were talking about the clown doll, and like, oh my gosh, I bet you that's why I don't like clowns.
Yes. Yes. Because that clown was beyond creepy. I
Hmm.
remember that. Yeah.
It's like it just hit me last night. And I'm like, that's why.
Yeah. I can totally see that. I can get that.
So now, question 5. I'm asking every author the same question because I'm building a database to put a list of author recommendations in our year-end book buying guide this year.
Okay.
When somebody asks you for a book recommendation, who is the first author you always go to?
It is, oh, I can remember. He wrote Lockwood and Company.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Jonathan. It starts ST something. But there is another author that I also recommend, a couple of them. One is Anne Lamott. I really like Anne Lamott. She wrote the first fiction book of hers, I think, that I ever read is called Rosie, and it's just a hoot. But she's also written a lot of nonfiction memoir type books. And then the other one is David Sedaris because he's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as when I recommend kids, of course, there's is Cornelia Funke.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And then Jonathan, can't pronounce his last name. I just know it starts with Strauss or something. And he wrote Lockwood and Company, which is one of my favorite series of all times.
I was so mad when they didn't do another season of the
I
TV
know.
adaptation of that. I
Do you
loved
like
that
that
show.
too? Yeah, I thought it was great. The way I don't know if he wrote the screenplay. I didn't check to see, but they were very faithful as you can be with having a series to the characters and the plot line and everything. I thought it was great too. I was really disappointed.
Well, I can say that because they didn't renew it for another season, it did make me go buy his books to read
Yes, yeah,
because I wanted more
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, well, then that paid off, so
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, they're great books. I really enjoy those. He also wrote The Outlaws Scarlet and Brown.
Hmm.
It's a series now. There are three, and just came out not long ago. The first one just came out maybe in, I don't know, 2022 maybe or something. But it's Outlaws Scarlet and Brown, and he wrote those, and they're really good. Totally different than Lockwood and Company, but there is a fantasy element to them.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's good.
So now what is next for you?
I am working on a picture book because I have written a few picture books not published. So it's obviously a whole nother approach to writing, and it's even more, you have to be even more concise and everything. And I've just read some really funny, fun picture books. So I want to try my hand at that. And then I'm working on another middle grade book. Well, I've written a book about a kid who turns into a dragon.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and so my agent's looking at that, and then I'm working on another book about a sidekick, kind of like a mean girl superhero who ends up becoming a good person, but it takes her through most of the book before she gets a clue and starts behaving.
I like that.
Yeah. So just a few things in the works. I'm super, super busy at work, so it's kind of a juggling act. I don't have young kids, and now I realize that maybe it wasn't my kids that kept me so busy and away from my writing. Probably the other writing I was doing. So
Now, will we be seeing any more of C.J. Delaney adventures?
I would love it, but oh, well, actually in two formats. One is they are going to be publishing CJ in paperback, which was delightful to learn. And then they're doing an audiobook of CJ.
Oh,
That's
nice.
the paperback will be released in November, and I'm not sure yet about the audiobook when that will be released. But as far as another episode, that has not been requested. So hope springs eternal.
So now remind our listeners again who you are and where they can find your work.
Okay, I'm Carol Williams, and I wrote The Supernatural Files of C.J. Delaney, a middle grade book, and the book can be found online with Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and libraries, I'm happy to say, but Amazon for sure. You can find the book there.
And as always, we will have live links in the description of today's podcast and on our website at burckhartbooks.com/podcast so that everybody will be able to find your work and easily go buy your book.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you. This has been so much fun, and I'm having
Oh,
so much fun reading your book.
oh, thank you so much. Thank you again for having me. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed talking with you and appreciate all your kind words.
So there you have it, folks. My fantastic interview with the wonderful Carol Williams. Be sure to go check out her book, The Supernatural Files of C.J. Delaney. It is a wonderful story, and if you have a young reader who really loves a good mystery with a little bit of spooky content, but not too much, this is a great book to introduce them to. And I went online and checked to see when the paperback version might be available. And the odd thing is, on Amazon, on the German site, it does show that the book should be released in November on the 18th. However, when you look at the American.com site, it doesn't have a listing for pre-sale yet. So keep an eye on that listing, and it should be popping up here very soon. Now, next week, we're going to be talking to J.E. Viner, and we'll be discussing her Southern Gothic tale, The Wretched and Undone. It is a lovely spooky tale, and we get into this discussion in great depth, and you are going to love it. If you like Hauntingly Good Reads for this time of year, this is going to be one to add to your to-be-read list. And please forgive me for just a moment while I try and skirt around a censor word, but her book, The Wretched and Undone, happens to be a KILLER Nashville Claymore finalist, and Kirkus Reviews said The Wretched and Undone is a tale from a promising writer that grabs readers from the very first line. If that doesn't pique your interest, I don't know what will. So be sure and come back next week to find out more. And of course, I want to give another shout out to our sponsor, Valerie Sherrard. She was in episode 180, and she writes books for middle grade readers as well. If you're looking for something new to introduce your children to, she is a good place to start. Go to burkhartbooks.com/podcast and check out our sponsor section. You'll find links to all of her information there. Now, as far as Book Banter Productions goes, I have been doing a lot of research the last few days on finding a program to create flip books like we currently have online for Book Banter magazine. I had been using a subscription service that cost a lot of money every year to do this magazine online, but now I have found a program that I can purchase and just have to pay a small hosting fee, and it's going to be so much more economical going forward, so I might actually be able to resurrect more of our magazines and be able to keep all of the past issues that we have already created. I am trying to find all kinds of ways to bring you all tons of information about all of these authors and their works, and to keep giving you different avenues to be able to connect to them and their work. This will be another way that we're going to do it with more Book Banter magazines. I'm getting ready to spend October putting together our year-end holiday shopper that features every author from this season. So if there was somebody that you love but you can't quite remember the name of the author or their book, but you know that you heard them sometime this summer and you really wanted to pick it up, we're going to have everyone in the magazine, so you'll be able to flip through it, find the author, and click a link and go buy their book. Whether you're going to be doing holiday shopping for people on your gift list or just filling out your own to-be-read list, we're going to have all of the information right at your fingertips. And now for Burckhardt Books news, we are still working very hard on the first book in our Haunted Heart series, The Langston Watch Hotel. It's a paranormal romance that will be coming out from D.S. Stevens, hopefully in time for our Love Fest opener for Season 5 of Book Banter with Dianne Burckhardt, your book talk podcast. We couldn't think of a better way to launch our new romance series than with our own Love Fest. And if you're wondering what's going on with me and my lovely little broken leg saga, there's no news at this point, but next week there is a slew of doctor's appointments, and hopefully by October 15th I'll know where I'm standing, or if I'm standing. But hopefully I'll know what my prognosis will be a little bit better by then. But at least I'm able to get up and around and get into the sound booth to do interviews, because I am busy doing all of the final interviews for this season. By October 16th, the last interview will be recorded, and we'll have everything ready to go to take us to the end of Season 4. I cannot thank all of you enough for going along with us on this ride. Doing this podcast is so much fun. Getting to speak with all of these authors and talk about all these books is a dream come true for me. And I cannot wait to share all of these fantastic interviews that I'm having with all of you. So keep listening. Go subscribe on your favorite podcast streaming service so that you don't miss a single author. Because I can tell you, if you love books like we do, you do not want to miss this podcast. And now you know what time it is, folks. It's time for you all to go forth and be really happy that we're finally into fall with the wonderful weather, the warm drinks, and all of the good spooky books. Have a great day, folks.